Welcome back to Movie Plot Twist. Today I will show you a biographical drama film titled Super 30. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. A man named Anand is seen selling flatbread on the streets of a small Indian town. He is a mathematics genius, considered a once-in-a-century talent, but his poor family background forced him to drop out of high school. Despite this, his love for mathematics never fades. Every week, he takes the train into the city just to visit the public library and read the latest mathematics journals. It is the only way he can stay connected to the subject he loves. One day, the city holds a mathematics Olympiad competition. Anand enters and wins first place without much difficulty, stunning everyone in the room, including the head of the local education department. The department head is so impressed that he personally places the medal around Anand's neck in front of the entire crowd. He then makes a public promise that no matter what Anand needs, whether emotional, financial, or otherwise, he will provide unconditional support. Encouraged by this promise, Anand decides to pursue his long-held dream of attending university. He travels back to the city and walks confidently into the public library, but the moment the librarian hears Anand's lower caste surname, his entire attitude changes. He snatches the mathematics journal straight out of Anand's hands and orders him to leave immediately, declaring that he will not allow his library to become a gathering place for people like him. Anand argues back, citing the national law that guarantees every citizen the right to education. The librarian ignores him entirely. A kind staff member, however, quietly pulls Anand aside and tells him that if he can manage to publish a paper in this particular academic journal, the publishers would be required to send him every future issue automatically. The idea sounds nearly impossible, but Anand is intrigued. He selects one of the unsolved world-class problems printed in the journal and gets to work. Back in his modest home, he fills an old chalkboard with formulas and calculations, eventually covering the walls as well. Against all expectation, he solves the problem completely. The only obstacle now is the cost of mailing his solution to the publishers in London, which he cannot afford. His father, who works as a postman, learns what his son has accomplished and immediately offers to help. He brags proudly to every single one of his co-workers that his son is about to become famous. One colleague responds thoughtfully, pointing out that the times have changed, that today, it is not the son of a king who holds power, but the person who earns it through ability. About a month later, a reply arrives from London. The journal publishes Anand's solution. The editors and several university professors are thoroughly impressed by his unique approach to the problem. Along with the published paper, the journal sends him something entirely unexpected, an acceptance letter from Cambridge University. Anand is overwhelmed with joy. He walks back into the library and opens the latest issue of the journal, directly in front of the librarian, who can do nothing but watch. Anand takes the issue and leaves without a word. At home, his family immediately begins preparing for his departure. New clothes are bought, photographs are taken. The excitement in the house is electric. Anand then visits his girlfriend's family home to share the news with her father, whom he had previously avoided out of embarrassment over his poverty. Now, with a Cambridge acceptance letter in hand, he finally feels he can stand before the man with dignity. The father, however, is unmoved. He tells Anand that while it is admirable for someone of his background to have come this far, Cambridge is very far away, and asks plainly where he intends to find the money for the flights and the tuition. Anand tells him that the department head has promised to help. The father gives him a long, slow look and walks away without another word. The following day, Anand and his father go to the department head's office to ask for financial assistance. The same man who made his public promise in front of a crowd immediately shifts in his seat the moment money is mentioned. He lectures them about the value of hard work and tells them to stay away from money and love. He does not honor his promise. Instead, he has both of them escorted out of the building by his staff. Anand's father refuses to give up. He rides his old bicycle all over town, trying to raise enough money from anyone who will listen. The family sells every piece of gold jewelry they own. They mortgage the house. It is still nowhere near enough. One stormy night, the weight of it all becomes too much, and Anand's father collapses from the strain. Anand has no choice but to give up his Cambridge dream. He takes over the responsibility of supporting the family and returns to the streets, selling flatbread. He stops visiting the library. He stops studying. His mathematics notebooks, the same ones his father once showed off with pride to co-workers, are repurposed as wrapping paper for the bread he sells. One night, a customer carelessly tosses a piece of the wrapping into a nearby fire. Inside it is Anand's Cambridge acceptance letter. He watches it burn. Then, unexpectedly, everything changes. A man steps out of a car on the street, cursing loudly after a minor accident. He looks up and immediately recognizes Anand as the famous Olympiad champion. The man is the founder of the most prestigious private coaching center in the region, and he is also a sharp businessman. He sees an immediate opportunity. Anand's name and reputation could attract wealthy students to his institution. He offers Anand a teaching position on the spot, complete with a high salary, and pulls out a thick envelope of cash to make the offer concrete. Anand accepts. He proves to be an exceptional teacher. Every student who sits in his class sees their mathematics scores improve dramatically. His reputation spreads quickly, and the center fills up with students from wealthy families whose parents are eager to pay whatever it costs. Before long, Anand is wearing gold chains and designer watches. He hires a private caretaker for his mother. His girlfriend's father, the same man who dismissed him so coldly, is now encouraging his daughter to spend time with Anand. Anand begins to enjoy the comfortable life he has built for himself. It feels like the years of poverty are finally behind him. But one night, as Anand is leaving a high-end social club, he notices a boy crouched beneath a streetlight, working through a mathematics problem with great concentration. Anand stops and walks over. He can see immediately that the boy has a natural gift for the subject. Without thinking, he leans down and gives the boy a quiet suggestion on how to approach the problem. The boy understands it instantly, and his eyes light up. Before he can go any further, the boy's father appears and shouts at him to stop wasting time and get back to washing dishes. The boy puts down his pencil and leaves without protest. Anand hires the father as his rickshaw driver for the ride home. On the way, he asks why he does not send his son to school, given how clearly talented the boy is. The father responds by telling Anand an old story from the Indian epic Mahabharata. There was once a commoner who was the greatest archer in the land, but when the king discovered this, he did not celebrate him. He removed him from the competition entirely because people from certain backgrounds were not supposed to rise above their station. The story hits Anand like a physical blow. He knows exactly what it means. It is his own story. And he begins to realize that it is not just his story. It is happening every single day to countless children across the country who are born with talent and ambition, but no money to act on either. He stays up the entire night thinking. His father's voice keeps coming back to him, that education may not be the only path in life, but for ordinary people, it is the best and the fairest one. By morning, Anand has made his decision. He resigns from the coaching center and announces that he will start his own, completely free of charge, with food and housing included, open only to students from the poorest backgrounds. Nobody understands his decision. His girlfriend's father ends the relationship and arranges for his daughter to marry someone else. Anand's comfortable life is gone overnight. His friends ask him plainly, "Is this really worth it?" The answer comes from the students themselves. Word spreads and children begin arriving from all over the country. Some ride on the outside of freight trucks for hours. Some save up quietly for weeks just to make the trip. One boy even crosses the Ganges River in a bathtub just to get there. They are all different ages, from different places, with different stories. But they all share the same look, a deep desire to learn, and a hope that education can open a door that has always been closed to them. Because of limited space and resources, Anand can only accept 30 students. He holds a written test to select them. Just before the first class begins, a boy shows up at the door. He missed the passing score by just 1 point. He asks Anand to let him stay anyway, even if it means standing outside and listening through the wall. Anand says no. The boy leaves. Shortly after, Anand's former employer shows up at the building. His center has been struggling since Anand left. Students are leaving, and parents are asking for refunds. He tries to bring Anand back, but Anand refuses. The employer becomes firm and tells Anand directly, "A horse born without legs should not be in a race. It belongs on the side, available for others to use." Some of the students hear this. A few of them begin packing their bags. Anand speaks to the class. He asks them what they are actually scared of. He tells them that the world made its judgment about them the day they were born into difficult circumstances. So, what is there to be afraid of now? If a few discouraging words are enough to send them home, then the dream of a better life was never real to begin with. The students stay. The employer, however, continues to cause problems for the school. He arranges for the power to be switched off at the building. Anand finds other ways to keep classes going, and the students keep making progress. But eventually the school runs out of funds entirely. Food supplies are low, and there is no money coming in. Anand visits the bank for a loan and is turned down. He has no other option but to go back to the employer and negotiate. The employer agrees to talk, but only on his own conditions. He wants a formal test between his students and Anand's. If his students score higher, Anand must close the school and come back to work under him. If Anand's students win, the employer will pay for 1 full year of meals for the school. Both men sign a written agreement in front of a notary. The test is held the next day. Both groups of students give it their full effort. Anand waits outside, confident in his students. But when the notary reads out the results the following day, Anand's students have come in second, by just 1 point. The employer tells Anand to shut everything down immediately. Then a journalist in the room asks to see the signed agreement. No one can find it. The document is gone. It turns out the notary is the same man who later married Anand's former girlfriend. He took the agreement, not for himself, but as one small and quiet act of care, for a woman who still wanted good things for Anand and for the students whose futures depended on him. Without the document, Anand denies the agreement ever existed. The employer is left with no legal ground to stand on. Back in the classroom, Anand asks his students why they lost. One boy quietly explains that during the exam, they were seated next to students from wealthy families, and the only time any of them had ever been that close to those students before was when they worked in their homes, cleaning their floors and bathrooms. Anand understands. The problem is not mathematical ability, it is self-worth. The following day, he tells the class there will be no lessons. Instead, they are all going to the busiest public square in the city to perform a stage presentation. The entire performance must be conducted in English. Anyone who speaks a single word of Hindi is to go straight home. At first, the students manage to introduce themselves in broken, nervous English. The crowd that gathers begins to laugh and mock them openly, telling them their English sounds ridiculous. But the humiliation triggers something. The students stop caring about the reaction of the crowd entirely. They begin singing. They begin dancing. They are loud and completely without shame. Gradually, even some of the wealthier young people in the crowd start to join in. By the end of it, the students understand something they did not know before, that there is no actual difference between themselves and the people they once feared. The invisible wall that class and poverty had built inside them quietly begins to come down. Meanwhile, the national press has begun covering Anand's story. Articles are published across the country. Other free coaching centers begin to appear in cities and towns inspired by what he is doing. The business of the elite coaching center collapses significantly as a result. The major investor behind the operation, revealed to be the same education department head who broke his promise to Anand years ago, is furious. He instructs the employer to do whatever is necessary to put an end to it. One evening, Anand is walking home when he accidentally drops his lunchbox. 2 strangers nearby help him pick it up. He thanks them. They tell him not to. They are hired hitmen. One of them produces a gun. It jams. A train whistle sounds in the distance. They decide to push him onto the tracks instead. At the last possible moment, a railway officer carrying a firearm appears on the scene. Anand survives. Sometime later, the National University entrance examination arrives. All 30 students walk into the examination hall. It is the most important moment of their lives. Anand, still recovering in hospital, is discharged on the day the results are published. He stands at the entrance, unable to stay still. When the results come out, all 30 of his students have been accepted into the Indian Institute of Technology. The film is based on the true events of a man named Anand Kumar. In reality, his 30 students did all gain admission. He was genuinely attacked multiple times by individuals connected to the private education industry because his work was disrupting the rules they had built their businesses on. The attack stopped only after the film was released in 2018 and drew national attention to what had happened. Over 16 years, Anand coached 480 students from the poorest families across India. 422 of them were admitted to the Indian Institute of Technology. His graduates are now living and working all over the world. His free coaching center has been recognized internationally as one of the most innovative educational institutions ever created. Anand himself never completed a university degree, but he gave hundreds of young people from the lowest rungs of society the proof that they needed, that where a person starts does not have to determine where they end up.